Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags and Metal Reviews, and today you're getting our first impressions of Cursed by Paleface Swiss. So opening up 2025, one album dropped today for our first impressions, new releases video, and it just so happens to be Cursed by Paleface Swiss, which is an album we've both been looking forward to for quite some time, since we reacted to their 3 singles that they dropped.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say, like, we did our year-end video, and if you watch that, you'll know that Hatred was my track of the year.
Yep. And
right?
we both mentioned that this album was one of our anticipated albums of the year.
Exactly.
It only took a week to get there, but hey, here we are.
Here we are. So, needless to say, a lot of hype.
Oh yeah.
A lot of hype build up, bars high. So TV Fish, what did you think?
I thought it was pretty awesome. Now, you know, this album does have an intro track, and I wasn't super duper huge on it, but I guess it sets the tone well enough. But when you get into Hatred, it's like game on.
Yeah.
Like, that's when it's like, you know, it's the first like track of the album, and it's such a banger. Listened to it a few times, like throughout it being a single, you know, of the past few months that it's been out. Loved it every time, and I love it just as much now, just now with the album's release. So then I was kind of thinking, like, well, this is actually quite a short album. It's 9 tracks, including that intro track.
Yep.
28 minutes long. Now that is quite short for an album. Not the shortest we've ever covered on the channel. We've covered shorter.
But still short.
However, it is on the shorter side. So with an album like that, short in length, only 9 tracks, you really need every song to mean something.
Yeah.
And at least based on a first impression, I think it does do that. I think it has that because, you know, it's the kind of album where the only thing you could be concerned with, if Hatred was the only song you heard, you might be worried like, well, is every song going to sound like this? That is not the case.
No.
And with Hope You'll Be Damned is right after Hatred. It's more slower and bouncier, which I think is a really good contrast because it still hits like a truck. It's just a truck driving at a different speed. But it's still like bulldozes you anyway.
Yeah.
And you know, the singer, he does a lot of fast screaming. That's kind of one of the things he just does. Does it in this song too. Super duper love it. But speaking of fast stuff, there's a song called Enough, like asked as a question, starts as a rap song. And that caught me way off guard. Was not expecting that to happen. Like, what the fuck is going on? But I loved it. The flow is great. It's basically everything you know about this guy's fast, you know, screaming, but not screaming. And then halfway through, he's like, okay, boys, come on, let's give them what they want. And the band comes in, and then it finishes the song, which is so cool. And just throughout, you know, the few times I listened to this album today, like that was another one of like the tip-top standout tracks for me. When that
Definitely
came
stands out for sure.
Yeah, and I think a few songs have an element in them that stands out like that. Maybe not as harshly as Enough, because that one stands out entirely for what it does.
Yeah, because it's genre changing. It's literally switching genres.
Literally a rap song for the first half.
Yeah.
There is a song called Youth Decay, and this song is the only one that really has like a more standard melodic type of chorus. And this will be a really weird comparison, but this song is kind of like the song that Slipknot keeps trying to make over and over, if that makes sense. I feel like that style is something that Slipknot has become very comfortable with doing. So this is that same kind of deal, but it's the only one of its kind on this record, and I like that because that makes it stand out, and it also makes that format of song not feel tiring to listen to on the record.
Yeah, I agree. I think Youth Decay is a standout track. I also like the play on words, Tooth Decay, Youth Decay. Thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, stylistically, the song kind of goes in different genre things. There's a bit of thrash in there, melodic death metal type of vibes in there. But yeah, I get what you're totally saying with that whole Slipknot thing. And we've made the Slipknot comparison with Paleface Swiss many times. Yeah. And I'm going to do it again because I think this album definitely taps into that Iowa era Slipknot aggression, that sound, that you know, signature sound that people have been craving for 20 plus years.
It really, I think for those who really like that aspect of Slipknot, this is going to scratch that itch that you've been wanting to scratch.
Exactly. And even fans of old Korn and all that type of stuff is all, those elements are in here, but it's got the deathcore spin to it.
Exactly.
Which is, you know, this is just another example of one of those deathcore bands being derivative of nu metal and having, you know, they're tapping into those roots and they're doing it a lot and they're doing it very well.
We've seen it quite a bit, like in the 2020s. I feel like there's been this, arrival of newcore.
Yeah.
Multiple bands at this point have been doing that kind of thing, and every single one has their own touch on it as well, and it's really cool to see that.
Yeah. These guys definitely have a more Slipknot-y feel than other bands do, which is a good thing in my opinion. I think that's fine. But yeah, man, this album was pretty good. I'm with you on the first track. I think it's fine setting up the album. Basically, it's about 1 minute and 45 seconds of what sounds to me like a Spanish woman saying a last rites. Mm-hmm. The song in English is a poor dead child, or poor child dead, is what it translates to in English. I Googled it. But yeah, I feel like it's a lady giving the last rites to the deceased. And it's fine for what it is. A little bit long, but ultimately it's a skippable track.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to end up being, which is a shame. From tracks 2 to track 9, it's, like you said, it's got a lot of things in there that are actually like standout moments.
Yeah, which is impressive for having 28 minutes runtime total.
It is, but also like you mentioned, that's a struggle because reviewing albums that are 28 minutes long, like for me, when I'm reviewing an album, I listen to it as much as I possibly can. Well, we both do. And 28 minutes, like you're listening to it twice an hour. Like that's a lot. And if you listen to music all day, that's a lot of spins for an album. Like it really is, and things get tiresome. So I don't know. I think some standout tracks, other than Youth Decay, Hatred, Love Burns, which is another single we reacted to. I thought that was great. I kind of forgot what it sounded like, but then when it came on, I was like, oh yeah, this was actually really fucking good.
I love the parts where the guitar player screams Love Burns. That's kind of the echo kind of thing.
I love that. And he's singing it in clean vocals as well, which is great. And then they have the clean singing near the end when they switch it up. Really, really good stuff. Also, when this band turns on double bass, it does something special. Oh. They just do it right. They do it, it's like the next level of music, it feels like.
They don't overdo it. Because I think it is easy to overdo it with this style of music, but I feel like it's enough to the point where it feels great when it happens, but it doesn't feel like... Exactly, there's an impact there. And it's similar to what I mentioned about Youth Decay, how it's the only song that has that style, so it has an impact that the others don't do the same way. And I think that's really smart. If you're gonna have a short album like this, every song is gonna have something that really makes it an individual on the album. Nothing really just meshes together. It's like, this one does this, that one does that.
All right, before we, I guess, close off, what did you think of Rivers of Sorrow? Closing the album with a ballad.
I think it makes sense. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it's a powerful, sad ending. And I kind of figured that this would be the move. You know what I mean? I see it's called River of Sorrows. I'm like, this is gonna be a really emotional ending for an album that sounds like this. It makes perfect sense for them to do it like this, and I think they did it effectively.
I agree. A lot of bands would put their ballad in the middle of the album and then close with something heavier. You hear them both ways pretty much.
Yeah, we've seen both.
I think this was a good choice on this album, where you have a lot of relentless stuff at the beginning, and it kind of goes up and down in its pacing and its framework and things like that.
And then you just
but at the end, you got this nice soft ballad. The thing with me and the song, it didn't connect with me like I think it's going to connect with a lot. I think a lot of people are going to really like this song and gravitate towards it. It didn't really connect with me on a lyrical or emotional level, but that's something that could change.
Yeah.
The more I hear it, the more I get in tune with it and get familiar with the lyrics and things like that. But overall, pretty damn good first impression, I would say.
I would agree with that.
So guys, we're gonna review Cursed this week, and we will be back in a week to give you guys our full and final review of this album. In the meantime, leave your thoughts down below and let us know what you guys think of the album now that it's out, all the singles, what are your favorite tracks, all that fun stuff. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
We'll see you guys on the next one.